Welcome to my story, a story of charm, confidence, and charisma. A story where I, just an ordinary high school student, managed to captivate every single female teacher in my school. How did I do it? Was it my looks, my personality, or something deeper? Stay with me as I take you through my unforgettable journey, a journey filled with tension, intrigue, and moments that would become legendary in the hallways of my school. And by the end of this video, you might just learn a thing or two about the power of confidence, genuine connection, and the art of winning people over. First things first, let me make one thing clear. This wasn't some creepy, calculated plan to manipulate my teachers. No, it was something much more natural. It was about understanding people, making them feel heard, and knowing how to leave an impression. I wasn't the smartest kid in the class. I wasn't a straight A student who got perfect grades on every test. But what I had was an undeniable presence. The way I carried myself, the way I engaged in conversations, the way I made people laugh, it all played a role in this unfolding story. From day one, I made a decision. I wasn't going to be just another student, I was going to stand out. And little did I know that decision would lead to some of the most fascinating experiences of my school life. Let's start with Mrs. Johnson, my math teacher. You know the type: strict, no nonsense, laser focused on the subject, and absolutely allergic to nonsense. Most students were terrified of her, the kind of teacher who never ever cracked a smile. But I saw something different. I saw a challenge. Could I be the one to get through to her? Could I be the student who made her smile? The first few weeks of class, I played it safe. I did my work, asked insightful questions, and made sure to always be engaged. But the real moment of change came when I managed to explain a complex math concept to the class in a way that even she found impressive. I'll never forget that day. She paused, looked at me, and for the first time, just for a split second, I saw the corners of her lips twitch upward. A smile, a small, rare smile. From that day on, our dynamic changed. She wasn't any less strict, but there was mutual respect. She started calling on me more in class, engaging in deeper conversations with me, and even recommending additional math challenges to take on. One down, several more to go. Next up, my English teacher, Miss Thompson, the complete opposite of Mrs. Johnson. She was young, full of energy, and had a passion for literature that was contagious. She wasn't just teaching English, she was living it. Now I knew I had to make an impression in her class. I wasn't going to be just another student who turned in essays and participated in discussions. I needed to stand out. So I made sure to always engage in class, ask questions that went beyond the textbook, and show genuine enthusiasm for the material. And guess what? It worked. Soon enough, she started giving me extra credit opportunities. She'd recommend books outside of the curriculum for me to read, and she even started using my essays as examples for the class. At this point, people started noticing. The other students were whispering, "How is he doing this? How is he getting all this special treatment?" The legend was growing. Now, Mrs. Rodriguez was a wild card, a science teacher who believed in hands-on experiments, whether they were safe or not. Every day in her class was an adventure. You never knew what was going to explode next. I knew exactly how to win her over. Curiosity. I started staying after class to talk about experiments, theories, and even controversial scientific debates. Before long, she started inviting me to assist her with setting up labs. She gave me additional projects outside of class. And at one point, she even suggested I consider pursuing a career in science. By now, it was undeniable. Every female teacher in the school had taken notice of me, and they weren't the only ones. Then there was Mrs. Patel, my history teacher. If there was one teacher who intimidated me, it was her. She had a PhD in history, spoke 5 languages, and had a mind sharper than a razor. I knew my usual tricks wouldn't work with her. Flattery? She'd see right through it. Humor? She had a dry wit that made my jokes seem childish. So I took a different approach: intellectual debate. I challenged her in class discussions. I brought up historical theories that contradicted hers. And while most students would back down when she countered their arguments, I stood my ground. She respected that. And soon she started challenging me even more. Our debates became legendary in the classroom. She started seeing me as more than just another student. I was a worthy intellectual opponent. At this point, the entire school was buzzing with rumors. How is he doing this? Every female teacher is obsessed with him. And then came the moment that solidified my legend, the school talent show. I decided to take a risk. I wasn't a professional singer, but I had written a song, one that I knew could move people. As I walked onto the stage, I could feel the eyes of every teacher in the audience. The air was thick with anticipation. I started singing. At first, there was silence, skepticism, but as I continued, I saw the change. Mrs. Johnson tapping her foot, Miss Thompson nodding, Mrs. Rodriguez smiling. Mrs. Patel, was that a tear? By the time I finished, the audience erupted in applause. My teachers came up to me afterward, beaming with pride. It wasn't just about the performance, it was about the journey we had been on together. Charm isn't just about looks or words, it's about genuine connections, confidence, and the willingness to take risks. If I had played it safe, I never would have built these relationships. I never would have learned these lessons. And to all of you watching, if there's one thing you take away from my story, let it be this: be bold, be yourself, and don't be afraid to stand out. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a teacher who took a special interest in you? Share your stories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos for more engaging content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.